Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. I'm going to give double honors to my apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and a sincere Shalom to the elect out there teaching this truth in all honesty and sincerity in these last days. Alright, and this is a post from Twitter. Okay, and it's from Brick's News, and it says just in, and there's a lot of other places reporting this, not just Brick's News. U.S. strikes railway bridge on Iran's northern corridor that linked the country to China and Russia. Okay, now if you've been following this back and forth with the Strait of Hormuz. There's no oil coming out of the Strait of Hormuz right now, and it's been off and on like that. So what Iran has been doing is they've been sending by rail the oil to China. Now, it's not as much as an actual tanker, but it's a good amount of oil, and the U.S. knows this, okay? And the U.S. went and struck that railway bridge so there can be no more oil going to China from the Middle East. So they just cut off China's access to the Middle East. Okay? And, you got to look at it like this way. Like this, Every time that the U.S. gets a little victory in this war, okay? Every time the U.S. gets a little victory in this war, you got to think sooner or later it's going to catch up to them, man. Because it's like the U.S. can't do anything without pissing somebody off. Okay, they went into this war. They got the Strait of Hormuz shut down, right? And what did the rest of the world start doing? They started buying oil from America, okay? And American oil exports went through the roof. Okay, but there was also a penalty to that. Okay, they pissed off a lot of their GCC countries. Okay, and these GCC countries sell oil priced in dollars. Okay, so they're screwing out over Qatar, who just put a big investment into the U.S. They're screwing over Saudi Arabia to an extent. They're screwing over Kuwait. Okay? And they're screwing over the United Arab Emirates. Okay, I'm not saying that all these countries ship out the Strait of Hormuz, because they don't. I know Qatar does, but they've been involved in this war. They've had their refinery struck. They've had their airports destroyed, right? So America might have got a little stronger in terms of oil exports, but they did so at the expense of their alliances. Okay, because America is at the point of an empire where the only way to make themselves stronger isn't to actually get stronger as a nation, it's to make others weaker, and that's what they're trying to do. Okay, they're not, now China has to buy a good amount of their oil elsewhere. Okay, now the ammunitions and the weapons that were going back and forth to Russia on that railway have probably been postponed or suspended or rerouted. Okay, and all this nonsense going on with the Strait of Hormuz has angered America's closest allies, which is Europe, because they're getting hit a lot harder with these energy prices than the U.S. is. And they get a lot of their fertilizer coming out of the Strait of Hormuz. Now that has to be rerouted, because if things get rerouted by rail, they can only receive a fraction of what they normally get, because they can't hold as much as those big tankers can. Okay, and it's more expensive. okay, to ship it by rail than it is by sea, okay? Especially when you're looking at going across to a almost other side of the world, man. All right, but this is a serious thing, man. This could get Russia and China involved somehow in the near future. Okay. Now let's get a couple scriptures here. Yeah, Isaiah 19 and 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. And I'm going to read it in the NLT. And they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. Now, Egypt in this scripture would be referring to America, okay? Or Babylon the Great. As a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Now, let's read this in the NLT because it explains it pretty clearly. The Lord has sent a spirit of foolishness on them because America has taken drastic action and they're not thinking about the repercussions in the long term over their actions, man. They're only thinking about the short term, okay? They're trying to protect their empire, but they're trying to protect their empire at the expense of putting their alliances in jeopardy. And we know that according to Revelation 17 and 16, they shall hate the whore and burn her with fire. And it's talking about Europe. Okay? America's closest allies are Europe. And they sure are doing a lot to piss them the fuck off. Okay? It says the Lord has sent a spirit of foolishness on them. So all their suggestions are wrong. Okay? All the shit that they're doing, they're fucking up, right? They cause Egypt to stagger like a drunk in his vomit. There is nothing Egypt can do. Alright? All are helpless. Let me put my charger in. They cause Egypt to stagger like a drunk in his vomit. Okay? So the Lord has sent a spirit of foolishness on this nation to err in every work. Okay, everything that they do, it just seems like they can do no right. Okay? That's because the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom, man. This is Amos 9 and 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh are upon the sinful kingdom. I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. So the eyes of the Lord are upon this sinful kingdom, man. Okay? Because America's been taking action, especially since Trump has gotten in office. They've been taking serious actions, man. Okay, and it's the Lord that's setting this place up to fail. Okay? But it says, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. But the Lord has to set up things according to what's written in the scriptures, okay, before he can destroy it from off the face of the earth. He's putting the chess pieces in the proper places, man. Getting ready for that big gambit. Okay? that big gambit. You know, the queen, you're getting ready for the queen's gambit. You know? You brothers that play chess, you know what I'm talking about. Alright? But yeah, man, these... Yeah, man, and eventually, man, with everything going on with Russia and Ukraine, I mean, I know this has a bigger impact on China than it does on Russia. But still, that's the trifecta. Those are the three nations that we've been talking about since we came on YouTube, man. Iran, Russia, and China. Iran, Russia, and China. Those are the big three. The big triangle. Okay? Those nations have been supporting each other through energy contracts, through defense contracts, political alliances. Okay? And the U.S. just put a serious disruption to it, man. Alright? And it was probably the state of Israel that made him do it. You like that term? I like that term. Okay, I like that term. The state of Israel, man. What is that in Jeremiah 49:20? Well, I'll go to 50. Yeah, because this one's specifically talking about Babylon. Okay. Jeremiah 49:20 says something very similar, but it's referring to Esau's kingdom as a whole. Okay. But we know that the state of Israel had a lot to do with them striking that railway. Okay. America probably didn't even want to do it. They were probably like, no, it's just going to get China extremely pissed off. And from what I've been seeing from insiders, whether they're insiders or not, we don't know. The U.S. never wanted to go in this war. They were pretty much forced to by the 1948ers, man. Okay, because that's who really runs the world. Okay, the president is just a figurehead. All right. These 1948ers, man, they control everything. Okay, they control everything. They're going to try and do this Greater Israel Project, man. That's pretty much what this is all about. It's the Greater Israel Project. They can't have the Greater Israel Project if Iran is not destroyed. Okay? They need more than just a regime change. They need them wiped out. And that is why every time the ceasefire seems to be going well between America and the U.S., it's always Israel that gets involved, right? It's always them that attack Iran. It's always them that attack Lebanon. Okay? And the war starts going on again. All right? This is Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon and his purposes. Okay? That he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Okay? And that's these 1948ers, man. They keep getting America involved. They keep using America as their military wing to push their agenda. Okay? Because this war is not going to end until Israel says so. And then if they need them to go into Syria, they'll do it. If Israel tells them to. Okay, it doesn't matter who the president is, man. Alright? With the JDRF. Right? IPAC. The JDF, IPAC. Right? They're very powerful groups in America, man. Very powerful political groups. And they have hold of the military, too. Okay? Continuing on. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Okay? So, these 1948ers, man, they're going to lead America to its destruction, man. Okay? Because America spent the first part of this war pissing off their allies, as well as their own countrymen. Shit. You know? Hey, if you're in a blue state, the gas is still over $4 a gallon. I know that I have family in the red states. A few red states are saying that it's about 3 a gallon down where they're at. But yeah, man, they pissed their own countrymen off. That I mean, America had a pretty decent economic uprising, right? They were leading the leading the AI race. They worked out a lot of these trade deficits. Okay, and this is all public information, right? you know. So it looked like America was going to be healed, right? But we knew that it wouldn't be healed. This is Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Drunken with what? Her wicked philosophies, man. Okay? The nations have drunken of her wine. I mean, just look at American culture. People around the world are fascinated by it, even no matter how destructive it is, right? Therefore, the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay, and this place is not going to be healed. We know that that's prophecy, man. Here it is. America was actually starting to roar back a little bit. Okay, and the numbers were kind of proving it. They reduced the budget deficit. They reduced the trade deficit. Okay, they strengthened their military, and they're focusing on this AI infrastructure. The technocrats took over, and then at the end of the day, they went and did this war with Iran, and ever since then, this place has been in a tailspin. Okay? If so be she may be healed, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay? Forsake her and let us go, everyone, into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And this place's judgment is going to be reaching up to the skies, man, by way of ICBMs. All right. But with that, I hope y'all were edified, informed. Keep watching this situation, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how China reacts to this, how they move. Okay, because really the U.S. is starting to test China's power right now by doing this. Okay, they're basically saying we just did something serious that directly affects you, because that railway led to Russia and China, nowhere else, to my knowledge. So they're fucking with China's oil. All right, it's very serious, man, because China is a country that a lot of their economic success came from them having that super cheap Iranian oil, man. And that super cheap Venezuelan oil, which the U.S. now controls. So with that, I believe, that's it, man. Just watch out right now, because it is high time to awake out of sleep, man. And the Lord said that there should be wars and rumors of wars, man. Okay. You got to watch for Taiwan now. What if China goes and attacks Taiwan? What can the U.S. do? Right? They're stretched too thin around the world. Okay? They would have to abandon Iran immediately. Okay? But with that, till next time, Shalom. I hope y'all are edified.